Oh hey, I'm just building a Squarespace website. What's Squarespace? Well, glad you asked. It's this. A tool you can use for building websites. And like many tools, it might intimidate you at first, but once you understand the basics, you'll discover a genuine order and logic to Squarespace. And you'll be able to build your own website. I promise. Even if you don't think of yourself as like a tech person. We're gonna start with the basics and work our way up to some of the more cool features. Things like AI generating the copy for your website, fun text underlines, that kind of thing. I've put chapters in the video description so you can jump around and skip anything you don't need to know. So if you haven't signed up yet, there's a link in the video description. And I should say this is an affiliate link, so just FYI. But if you click that link, you can get started and register. And then let's get into it. Here we are in Squarespace. And you can start your website with a Squarespace template, or by building your own template, or from a blank template. We'll start with the template. There's a bunch you can choose from, but let's just browse quickly. I have one in mind. I think it's in the local business section. Ah, here it is. Barbosa. I think it's for a boutique hotel, I guess, but this is what we're going to use. And here we are in the editor. Let's begin by going to Pages. And because we've chosen a template, Squarespace has included some example pages. You can see that the pages under Main Navigation match the pages in the website's navigation. Let's create a new page. We'll do a blank page, and we'll give it the name Example. Then let's click Edit to enter Content Editing mode. And let's start by adding a block. Pages are made up of individual blocks. Blocks are things like text, images, and buttons. Let's add a text block. So we can just click in and start typing. If we highlight the text, we can make it into a headline. And we can resize the text box. And we can move it around the page. We know it's centered when the center line turns from blue to yellow. Nice. Now let's just center align the text in the box. And we have our headline. Now let's add a paragraph beneath the headline. And we can use Squarespace's handy AI tool to generate a paragraph. We just have to give it a prompt. And there we go. Very nice. Now let's center align that text. And yeah, things look good. Let's add another block. This time we'll add an image. And let's upload the image. There we go. And let's move it to the right side of the page. And let's make it bigger. Nice. Now let's move this text, but before we do that, let's turn the center alignment off and make it left aligned. And then let's move it over here to the left. And let's drag the box to align with the image. Now here's something important. If we single click this text, we get this menu. But if we double click, that menu goes away and we get this menu. Once again, single click, double click. So click away and just single click the text. And we get this align option. So let's set the alignment of the text to the middle. Very nice. Although it's actually a little wide. Let's resize it and give it some space. There we go. Perfect. Now do you see this blue outline? That's a section. These blocks, they're in the section. Let's say we want to make our section bigger. Well, we can click Edit Section and increase the row count. Or we could drag this blue icon. Or we could simply grab a block and move it down. Now I want to show you something really cool about sections, but first, let's just delete this image. And we'll center this text. Make the text box a little smaller, and let's align the text to the center too. Nice. Now we're going to add a section background. So let's upload it. And boom, How cool is that? I love how the background image stretches into the navigation. Now our text isn't super readable with this background, but Squarespace has this overlay opacity option to darken it. There we go. Very sharp. Now if we return to the section editor, we can also change the height of the section, as well as change the alignment. And now we actually have some empty space. So I think let's add a button block down below, and we'll make it say book room. Yeah, it's nice. Now pages can have multiple sections. So let's add another section beneath this one. And while you can start with a blank section, Squarespace also includes tons of pre-designed sections, which is helpful. Let's look in the people section. No, let's add this one. Now this section is just made up of individual blocks, like text blocks and image blocks. I think it's cool how the images are stacked up on one another. We can actually move this image forward or backward to achieve this effect. It's cool. But let's scroll back up. I want to show you something. If we want, we can switch these sections back and forth. We can also save sections to use them later or duplicate them. Here's another cool thing with sections. If we open the section editor, scroll down, we can add a divider. Very nice. We can select different shapes for this divider. I think I like this one though. And we can customize the divider. Do things like remove the stroke. That's just cool. I think it makes the page flow better. Yeah, I like that. Now let's customize the styles of our website. To do that, find this paintbrush icon to open Site Styles. We have some options here. Let's start with fonts. Squarespace has some suggested font pairings we can try. Cool. But let's stick with what we had. If we click this arrow, we get way more options. We can change the base font size. We can get really specific about our heading's weight and size if we'd like. And if we go back, we can find font customization options for everything on our website. Let's go back to Site Styles and take a look at colors. Again, Squarespace included some recommended color palettes, but let's stick with our original colors. If we click the arrow, we can go deeper. Here we have our color palette and color themes. I actually think color themes can be a little confusing at first. So let me start by showing you how color themes are used. If we go back and open the section editor, we can click the Colors tab. And from here, we can choose different color themes for the section. Let's stick with dark one. Now, the colors for these color themes are coming from our color palette. Let's edit the palette. There are 5 colors in every palette: lightest, light, accent color, dark, and darkest. Let's change our accent color to a kind of reddish rouge. Yeah, I like that. We can see that our buttons have taken on that color. If we scroll down, we can see that color being applied elsewhere too, for example, in our footer. And if we go back, we can see that our color themes have now been updated with the new accent color. Now, if we want to specify where exactly colors are applied, we just open the color theme and we can change how any specific color is applied. For example, we can give the navigation our rouge or make it a light pink. But for now, let's leave it white. And let's go back. Now let's look at buttons. We'll click the arrow and let's choose a new button pack. There are a bunch we can choose from. I kind of like this one actually. Let's close Site Styles and see how it looks. Very nice. Okay, that's styles. Now let's go back to editing pages. And I want to show you some of the more cool and interesting things you can do with text and images. Let's start by deleting this button. I'm just going to vertically center this section. And let's start by single-clicking this text and choosing Style Background. Here we can add some cool stuff, like a stroke border. We can change the thickness or the color. We can give the box a border radius, change the padding, add a cool blur effect, customize the blur. And we could also just have a simple background color. Let's remove it though. And let's double click the text this time. And here we can do things like change the text color. Or add an underline. And Squarespace has some cool underlines like this. We can also scale the text to the box size, which means the bigger the box, the bigger the text will be. It's kind of a cool effect. All right, let's delete the text and let's do a rapid tour of some of the other blocks you can add in Squarespace. We'll start with an image block. For starters, Squarespace includes an actual image editor, so if we need to make any changes, we can do that. We can even crop images from within it. But let's discard those edits. Now images can link to anything. And if we click over to design, we can also give images a shape. It's just kind of a neat option to have. Next up, the video block. We can add a video by either uploading a video file or attaching a video from YouTube or Vimeo. Nice. Forms. Squarespace has a powerful form builder. We can add form fields, and there are actually a lot to choose from. Let's try this phone field. We can move it up and even make it a required field. Now, if we click over to the Design tab and scroll down, we have this Lightbox option. So now if users click that button, the form will open in a Lightbox. That's kind of cool. Form submissions are stored in Squarespace, or they can also be sent to Google Drive, Zapier, or MailChimp. And of course, you can collect emails from these forms for your newsletter as well. Audio players. It's kind of self-explanatory, to be honest. Shapes. You can change the shape. Give it a color, a stroke border, and much, much more. Let me show you a good example of a Squarespace that's using shapes in an interesting way. Yeah, that's very cool. Photo galleries. There's lots you can do here. You can change the spacing of the photos, the width. There are different types of galleries you can choose from. Here's masonry. Squarespace has great photo galleries, but we'll stick with a simple grid. There are just lots of blocks you can add. Maps, scrolling text, calendar, a restaurant menu block, newsletter sign up, charts, quotes, Instagram feeds, and so much more. I can't cover them all here. It's going to get boring. So let's turn our attention to pages. It's really important that you understand how pages work. For starters, pages in the main navigation are linked to the main navigation. You can reorder the pages, and they will reorder in the navigation. If you want to keep a page but take it off of the navigation, you can drag it down into the Not Linked section. Let's open the settings for this page. Here you can change the page title, its navigation title. You can change the slug, which is like the URL. You can add a password, duplicate a page, and even set it to be your homepage. Now here's a cool thing you can do. If we click over to navigation, we can actually choose to hide the header on this page. So if we save, we can see that the header is no longer there. But let's go back and let's turn it back on. If you want to delete a page, you can delete it. But if you do that by mistake, you can always go to the trash and restore the deleted page. Let's keep moving along. Let's hit edit and let's try editing our site header. For starters, we can add or remove elements. Let's add a few back. And we can also change the layout of our header. Pretty cool. Let's stick with what we had though. We can adjust how elements are spaced. We can make the header fixed, which means it will scroll as the visitor scrolls. And we can even make it full width. But let's not do that. To customize an element in the header, just click it. For example, we can change these social icons. Nice, I kind of like those outlines. That's good. Now this is important. Remember how sections have color themes? Well, your navigation inherits your top section's color scheme. Change the color scheme and the navigation changes too. This, of course, can be overruled if you want. In your header, just go to Edit Design and click Colors and choose Solid. Then your navigation will always be the same color, no matter the section's theme. We're going to stick to adaptive, though. I think it's a cool effect. Okay, let's discard these changes and head back home. And let's do a quick tour of the interface. You can preview your website at any time by hitting this arrow. Hit the arrow again to return to the editor. You can also toggle between desktop and mobile. If you want to edit your website on mobile, just hit Edit, and you can make changes. Let's save them. You can also search Squarespace, which is helpful if you're looking for a specific thing and you're not quite sure where to find it. And this sidebar, you can customize what's on it if you want. Now there are some big Squarespace features that we're not going to cover in this video. Why? Well, those features are pretty sophisticated and really they'd need a video of their own. But let me give you a really quick tour of these features and I'll show you them on actual real-life Squarespace websites. E-commerce. You can set up a full-blown online store with Squarespace. Appointment scheduling. If you're a business that takes appointments, Squarespace has booking software for that. Blogs. Squarespace has great features for blogging. Online courses. This is great for selling paid memberships and putting content behind a paywall. Donations. If you're a nonprofit or charity, you can use Squarespace to accept donations. Podcasts. Squarespace can handle full-blown podcast hosting. Not many website builders can do that. Now, last thing, when it comes time to publish your website, just head to Settings and click on Domains and Email. And here you can register a domain name. And once you do, you can also add email to that domain name. Let's try searching for a domain name. And there we go. We could check out with this and we'd be good to go. Awesome. That's it. Hopefully this gives you a solid foundation on Squarespace. Again, if you haven't signed up to Squarespace yet, there's a link in the video description. Thanks for watching and good luck.